It was supposed to be a simple family outing, a sun-soaked day in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, celebrating my stepson Ethan's 20th birthday with laughter and warmth. I pictured a carefree afternoon, but it turned into something else entirely, a crack in the facade of my perfect life. My husband Daniel was lost in his work as always while I scrubbed dishes and baked a cake, dreaming of a day filled with joy. I often wondered when our life so polished on the surface started to splinter like old furniture peeling under the weight of years. Neighbors saw us as the ideal family, a beautiful home, well-mannered kids always smiling. But I alone knew the darkness creeping into our safe, cozy world. Daniel was always chasing something, a shadow slipping through the chaos of his office life, leaving me lonelier each day. That day on the beach, the sun burned my skin, amplifying the hollow ache inside me. Ethan and I tossed a ball, trading memories, laughing like old times. For a moment, I glanced away, and when he offered to apply sunscreen, his hand brushed my shoulder. Light, innocent, but heavy with something unspoken. It seemed simple then, a kind gesture, but it grew into something tangled, a thread pulling at the seams of my heart. My mind flooded with broken dreams, realizing Ethan was the only one who truly saw me fading. His careless words and gentle acts warmed me in ways I hadn't felt in years, filling a void Daniel had left long ago. Only then did I see Ethan was stepping into the space my husband abandoned. I couldn't stop wondering what it meant for us. The family picnic I'd planned so carefully turned heavy, a joyless charade. As we sat on the sand, laughing with others, their voices faded into a dull hum. I felt myself drifting inward like a wave had swept away my happiness. The silence forced me to face a brutal truth: the spark I craved was gone. Daniel came home exhausted, distant, not even a glance my way, no questions about my day or Ethan's birthday. Sitting at the kitchen table, I felt his absence like a blade. I'd become a fixture in his life, easily ignored, like wallpaper peeling in a forgotten room. Staring at the empty table, my mind churned with dusty, shameful memories. I was furious at myself for letting it come to this, for losing the woman who once took pride in her family. I was a shadow of her now, craving recognition, desperate to matter. Watching Ethan that night, his attentive eyes drinking in my every word, I realized he was the only one who could still make my heart race. His youthful gaze, bright with a hope I'd long forgotten, reminded me of the dreams I once held. But in a flash, everything shifted. His gentle touch on my shoulder startled me, his eyes meeting mine with a tenderness I'd never seen in a young man. I was speechless. The moment changed everything, a storm of loneliness and forbidden desire crashing over me. It felt like I'd betrayed myself, like I'd struck my own heart. Back on that beach, surrounded by strangers, I saw I'd built my own prison, and I needed the strength to break free. My emotions tore at me, shredding me between guilt and yearning. It wasn't love, but the bond growing between us was unbearable, a pull I couldn't resist. Ethan's face shifted from joy to confusion as I looked at him, and I knew we were on the edge of something irreversible. I was about to uncover a truth that left no questions, only a raw, undeniable reality. How could I want someone who was never mine? Our loneliness and hope were entwined, yet we stood on opposite shores. The wall between us was crumbling, and I was drowning in fear and doubt. Every second I realized this wasn't love. It was sorrow, a relentless mourning for time lost, for wounds I couldn't escape. I stood on a long, empty beach, torn between love and rage. Daniel was my dark past, Ethan my fleeting light, but neither truly belonged to me. How could I move forward? Summer days always seemed calm, but this time their light whispered something darker. The ocean called from beyond the dunes, its rhythm mocking my emptiness. Daniel's absence, his work always first stabbed like a knife through my chest. I pushed the thought away and left with Ethan, the only one willing to share these fleeting moments. Driving to the beach, I noticed how much he'd grown lost in his own world, earbuds and staring out the window. It hit me like a wave. If I blinked, he'd be gone forever. The thought was terrifying, yet freeing, a strange release from the weight of routine. I remembered his small hand in mine as a child, his laughter filling rooms. At the beach, he helped carry bags to a quiet spot by the water, easing the ache in my heart. I spread a towel on the warm sand while he set up the umbrella, his movements echoing the boy he used to be. Watching him, I wanted to talk, to understand what stirred inside him, but I stayed silent. I lay on the towel, letting the sun wrap me like an old blanket, thinking of sunscreen to calm my nerves. I asked Ethan to help, sensing his hesitation, like he wanted to flee the moment. My chest tightened as he agreed, his hands no longer a child's, firm, careful, stirring something deep within me. The simple act shook me, my body trembling in ways I hadn't known. He applied the lotion slowly, his touch deliberate, like he was testing the air between us. I closed my eyes, feeling a warmth I hadn't in years, his hands reminding me of when I first held him, fragile and new. But this was different, a storm rising inside me, unexpected, overwhelming. His touch grew surer, moving lower, igniting a fire I couldn't name. I tried to speak, to stop him, but no words came. I told myself it was just kindness, but the world around me shifted second by second. He paused, hands resting at the towel's edge, uncertain, waiting for me to decide. I could have stopped him, but I whispered, "It's okay." The words hung like a verdict, sealing something we couldn't undo. Silence thickened between us, and I sank deeper into myself, his touch the only anchor. As his fingers moved, my resistance melted, leaving a chaos of emotions I couldn't explain. I was lonely and alive, torn between guilt and exhilaration. The joy grew, fed by a longing I'd held too long. On that beach, my life crumbling, Ethan was a light I couldn't ignore, a spark in my dark world. Our eyes met, mirroring the same desperate need, as if fate had handed me a chance I couldn't refuse. Letting go of past and future, I surrendered to the moment's warmth. I whispered, "You can keep going." The words spoke themselves, born from the fire of that instant. He moved closer, each deliberate touch carrying more than sensation, weaving a spell I didn't want to break. I closed my eyes, his hands creating a world I never wanted to leave, touching the core of who I was, raw and true. We both knew this wasn't ordinary. It was a new connection, a bell ringing with emotions too vast to name. His touch wasn't just physical. It was a current of joy, relief, and madness, tearing me apart from within. My lips pressed tight, the desire so clear it silenced my thoughts, leaving only our breaths breaking the quiet. I opened my eyes, meeting his, and for a moment nothing else mattered. We were alone on that endless beach, cut off from the world's rules. It was just a moment, but it held a universe of possibilities, emotions too rare to be buried by routine. I wanted time to stop, to keep the wall between us from falling, our souls and hearts entwined. The beach was our secret haven, where even silence spoke. My fears faded, replaced by a fragile thread binding us, two ships seeking shelter in a storm. Words couldn't capture it. We weren't just stepmother and stepson anymore, but souls reaching for light, unaware it might burn too bright. I didn't notice time slipping away as the sun sank, shadows stretching across the sand. Breathing the salty air, I sank into a fleeting peace, healed from the dull grind of life. But returning home brought back the familiar dread like a fever that wouldn't break. As Ethan and I drove back, I felt the weight of what was coming. Each mile stripped away the fragile shell I'd built like something terrible waited at home. Back in our small world, Daniel's indifference enveloped us. He barked into his phone, oblivious to us trapped in his own orbit. His footsteps echoed in the kitchen, cooking dinner, his mind elsewhere. Each time he turned away, my anger surged a tide I couldn't hold back. "Daniel hungry again?" I asked, trying to keep things normal. His smile was forced, fleeting a nod before he rummaged through the pantry, already gone. That night, lying in bed, I couldn't stop thinking of Ethan. His eyes, his hands, his undivided attention blurring the line between right and wrong. I tried to push the thoughts away, but they clung, relentless, burning. I knew I had to stop to silence myself, but a dark part of me refused, craving the connection Daniel had stolen. Days passed. Ethan grew quieter, his unspoken words louder than anything he could say. Cooking or sitting in the living room, his gaze followed me, sharp, unyielding. One night watching TV, he couldn't look away. I didn't resist letting the silent bond tighten between us, a connection neither of us could name, but felt deeply. The house felt warm that weekend, Daniel gone again, leaving Ethan and me alone. The urge to return to our beach was overwhelming, a desperate need to escape the suffocating house, to clear my mind with salt air. The drive was tense, Ethan silent, earbuds and staring out the window. Something knotted inside me, forcing me to face what was growing between us. Morning was calm, the kitchen alive with the scent of fresh coffee and warm toast. I smiled, thinking how rarely Daniel glanced at me before rushing out. Our life's rhythm was clockwork, predictable, suffocating. But today he leaned in, kissed my cheek, his presence a fleeting spring warmth. Then he was gone, his footsteps on the stairs, the door slamming, leaving me in a sunlit, silent house. Ethan entered the kitchen, quiet as a ghost in the morning light, standing by the window staring out. I watched him, his eyes locking onto mine like on the beach, focused, unwavering. We both knew our bond had grown beyond what it should be, a heat that consumed everything. I felt his breath behind me, a soft reminder of a love that could swallow me whole. The intensity overwhelmed me, fear and thrill twisting together. I tried to stop him with a gentle word, but he stepped closer and I was caught, terrified yet alive. "I need to go," I started, but he cut me off. His lips met mine, a flood of emotions crashing through me. Kissing him back, everything shattered. I knew it was wrong, too lost in love and fear to care what was right. It could destroy everything, yet each kiss made me feel alive, a feeling I hadn't known in years. I'd broken every rule, stepping into an abyss in that fleeting moment. Days passed, but I was trapped in a storm. Ethan and I had crossed a line we could never uncross, a weight growing heavier with time. I stood at the edge of my world, unable to escape the shame crushing me. His gaze, his small gestures of affection stirred a longing I couldn't deny. We were inches from a cliff, and I knew something vital had changed in me. We'd done something forbidden, yet it felt necessary. His touch broke the barriers holding me back, unleashing emotions I'd buried. Was I wrong? The question haunted me, a truth I couldn't escape. Like, share, and subscribe if this story hit you hard. Tell me in the comments, have you ever crossed a line you couldn't take back? This isn't just a story, it's a confession of a heart torn apart.